the news just got even worse, of course, with our good friend Sony, of course. So yeah, anyways, we got more Sony news. Apparently PlayStation managed to screw up again, apparently. So apparently over this weekend that has happened or so. Well, at least by the time of this video, it should be last weekend, not this weekend, last weekend or so. And PlayStation Network went down. It went down, and it was causing a lot of I don't know if I don't know how long it took for it to come back up, but yes, we're not done with the Sony news. We got more, and it got even worse for them. Anyways, let's continue more on the Sony rabbit hole. Part 2 for Sony. Let's go, you know.
Sometimes you just can't make this stuff up, man. Like, for real. So look, we've been talking about PlayStation for a while, and even my most recent video is talking about how they keep fudging the numbers of stuff to make it look like what they want is just the logical conclusion, instead of a bitter excuse to take away customer rights and then try and make the most money possible. Really just like the complete transformation of PlayStation from a company that might have had a bit of a soul and a bit of care for its customers into this soulless megacorp that just cares about money, and it will suffer because of it. But just as I uploaded a video talking about the perils of the all-digital future, PSN went down. To be fair, many other things went down as well. It wasn't just PSN, it was a bunch of stuff tied to Amazon Web Services. Which is not a positive, by the way, because if we are moving into an all-digital future, the failure point doesn't matter to me, it's the end product, and the fact that millions of people yesterday couldn't access their games. They couldn't play online, but they also couldn't access a lot of parts of how PlayStation Network works, including downloading games that they own. Many people with multiple different reports across the different ways that PSN works, indicating that a lot of the stuff that you would expect to be able to do, you couldn't, including playing a ton of your digital games, because that is the danger of the all-digital future, that you can have everything taken away from you pretty much whenever. Now, of course, this in itself is pretty big because we have to remember it's a poetic reminder of just how dangerous and how unreliable these companies are, no matter what they promise you for the future that they want to create, and that digital media ownership rights are necessary, as well as a series of systems in place that guarantee customer protection and rights to that media. And if they won't give me that, then you better give me discs that work offline. Now, normally, I wouldn't just make a video talking about this PSN outage. It doesn't feel necessary. Most of the things that I wanted to talk about, I talked about it in that previous video. But this outage coincided with PlayStation releasing one of their most anticipated games, not the full game, but the beta for Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, the new 4v4, but not really tag fighter, developed by Arc System Works, and that is, of course, Marvel superheroes based. Now, not only did the PSN outage make it so the beta start was abysmal, but I play on PC whenever possible. And the game, in large part due to PlayStation's decisions, runs like garbage and might actually be a danger to people. Short version is, you need a PSN account in order to play the game, even on PC.
I'm not buying this game. I would try it out, but I'm not playing this game. I'm not buying because of that, so.
PC, meaning that that famous list of like 121 countries that don't have access to PSN can't technically buy it on PC either. Right, sure, there's ways around those geographical restrictions, but you're still technically going against what PlayStation is doing. So if you were afraid that they could take the things you own from you no matter what before, try also breaking their terms of service. But it's also that PSN requirement and that PSN login that requires using Microsoft Edge, and that then spawns like 5 subservices, including Epic Games services for the multiplayer, but most of the services that the game runs in the background, including easy anti-cheat, meaning that you can't play the game unless you're playing it on Windows. So no Linux, no Steam machine, no
I thought for a second there it was the video that was just lagging. No, this is Tokon loading it. So this is you loading into Tokon. Holy shit, dude, that's crazy. I thought it was the video for a second there. I was about to
Steam Deck
say.
because easy anti-cheat doesn't work with those, but also a series of layers to avoid data mining and cracking the game on PC that makes it not just run
that's
like garbage
crazy.
in the game itself, but
118% CPU usage. Fans going crazy. This beta is unplayable. I really hope this gets fixed, because if this is a sign of how the game is going to release, no amount of Deadpool pandering and funny references is going to save it. Same here. My GPU is at 0% usage, and it seems like the game is running entirely on CPU. That's fucking crazy to hear that.
also makes CPUs go up to temperatures close to, melting. Now, I'm
Thank
lucky
God I
enough
did
that I'm
not
running a
play this.
very good processor.
I shit you not, reminds me of the beta for that one game or so from EA that they shut down just recently or so. I forgot the name of it. Oh, Anthem. So during a long time ago, during the PS4 era, right? When you played the Anthem game, if you didn't had any of the newer PS4 systems, all of the older PS4s would brick your PS4. They would brick it. So that beta alone would heat up temperatures insane or so for the PS4 to the point that it breaks them. And unfortunately they never got a new PS4. Of course, they weren't compensated or anything like that. But yeah, they got their PS4s bricked because of that beta. So I didn't play the beta for that game. Thank God I didn't. And it was crazy to hear, to be honest.
Not a well optimized one, but a raw strength one. I've got a 13th gen i9, and it did not like what was going on, and the game borderline worked. It crashed multiple times. It caused severe problems to my general PC audio equipment, video capture, all sorts of stuff.
Thank God
Just
I
a
didn't.
complete
Thank God I
and
didn't
utter
play this
disaster.
beta.
Like the worst thing that you could imagine for the first impression that somebody is going to get from a video game. Because imagine that you come home on Friday, you come home excited to try out the new Marvel fighting game, thinking that maybe you're going to pick it up when it releases in a couple of weeks. Sit down on your couch, launch up your PS5, it's broken. Nothing works. So you're like, okay, I'll play a different game. You go to load up a different game, and because of the PSN outage, that doesn't work. So now you're scrambling in your free time, what you were looking forward to, the free time that we deserve to enjoy and care about in the lives that we lead. And you're sat there just figuring out what you can even do. Or you came home, launched up Steam, downloaded Marvel Tokon. You were forced to sign into PSN,
really? It
depending
happened
on
on
the country
PC
that you
too?
live
I
in,
didn't know that,
potentially
actually.
to give them extra
I didn't remember it was
information
on
to this company
PS4.
famous for their data leaks, stuff like your biometric data so that they can verify your age. Then the game proceeded to launch 5 subservices that tried to destroy your CPU and potentially caused problems to your PC until the game finally launched and it couldn't connect because PSN was down. This is the future that PlayStation is promising us. Isn't this wonderful? And so between that and some other stuff like the announcement of God of War Laufey and the different efforts that PlayStation is doing regarding Marvel Tokon, I want to talk a bit more today about that all-digital future, but I also want to give my personal review of Marvel Tokon, because you know what's the most criminal part about all of this? I think the game's pretty damn good, and I think that it's going to find itself with an uphill battle both because of the situation on PC and stuff like that PSN outage being associated to that open beta. And before anybody says the game isn't made for PC players, trust me, they're launching the game on PC because they know they need to in order to make their money back, like PlayStation does with—
It's not their money back. This is their new strategy for live service games. For those who don't know, right? They're still doing live service games, but the live service games that they're trying to do now is these kinds, basically. This is the new format for Sony when it comes to live service games. So I'm just letting you guys know. So it's not your typical like multiplayer online kind of type of game. It's these kind of games that is going to be the new live service plan that Sony is going to move forward with.
all of their live services.
For those who don't know, now you
so
do
it
know.
is
Okay.
a pretty big piece of the pie. You think it was bad that half of Bungie got fired after Marathon? If they didn't launch that on PC, it would have been all of it. Sure, it's an FPS, but still, the majority of players from Marathon were on PC. Like, just get with the times. But by the way, hi, I'm Mug, and if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new here, welcome back. You are looking fantastic today.
You're looking
Your
fantastic.
skin's got a glow to it. I'm not sure if you can keep it up, though, unless you hydrate. Make sure to hydrate. I haven't been doing it. I just got back from the gym, trying to lose weight so I can go back to the mustache. I look terrible, I know, but it's fine because you still look
It's okay,
great.
Mug.
If you like the
You're
video at
working
any
hard at
point,
the
hit
end
the
of the day.
like button. It's always appreciated. And if you really like what I do here,
I like
news,
fighting games, it's
reviews,
just I need a
essays,
fight
and
stick, though.
retrospectives across
I
the
can't
video
play
game
on
industry,
controller.
consider subscribing. Just don't do it until I properly earn your subscription because it matters. Let's talk a bit more about this debacle. Now, some of you might have picked up on it along the history of the channel, but I'm pretty into fighting games. I really like them a lot. They are unfortunately the genre that I would say I am less competent in when it comes to competitive video games. But I absolutely love fighting games, the FGC, and a bunch of my favorite creators across all of social media are FGC people. I play a lot of fighting games, I just don't talk about them much because it's hard to kind of make it interesting to be like, hey, here's my opinion on a fighting game as a person who's not very good at them. Which is why it's so absolutely bittersweet for me to say that I think Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls as a fighting game is excellent. Hot take, the FGC's already on fire with people saying that it's actually the worst thing ever made, but I think the bones and the design of this game are fantastic, especially for casuals, because it takes a lot from Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, which is one of my favorite fighting games of all time because of how much it focuses on accessibility. And just like that game, I think that this one does a great job of making it so that new players can understand the basics, have fun, do flashy stuff, and for pros to really maximize and express their skill doing absolutely bonkers stuff. It's also just a ton of fun despite some problems that it has. Mostly input buffering and assists. The assists just work really quirky in a way that
fucking buffering on the input. Oof, I don't like that personally.
does not feel good to use. But hot damn, do I think it's not just a fun fighting game all around, but one that is particularly very well suited for newer players, for people who aren't deep into fighting games and could experience the joys of the FGC and what fighting games can bring to your life. Now, that is of course a bigger topic why people don't normally gravitate towards fighting games. I think that the genre itself has a lot of pain points that make it still very inaccessible to a lot of people. But after putting about 8 hours into the Tokon beta, after it got up and running and I had to do a bunch of fixes that people had recommended so that my PC didn't catch on fire, which the fact that I went through that to play it, I think is testament enough of how much I'm enjoying the game. I would love to say, holy, PlayStation got a W. Sure, not PlayStation themselves, you know, this is Arc System Works, you know, they've been at the top of their game for a while. Sure, personal preference, I think that, you know, there's parts of reviews that are very subjective and then there's parts of reviews that are objective. I think Marvel Tokon is a ton of fun and I would recommend it to friends and I would love to just hang out with my friends, couple of pizza slices, a couple of beers, and play some Tokon. And you might disagree with that, but we will all agree with the objective part of it, which is how can anybody support this absolute garbage? Now, Tokon is a $70 game, right? Which is already kind of pricey in the world of fighting games. We've seen a lot of them try and come in a bit lower to be more competitive, but this one is getting the full first-party PlayStation tax on it. And to have the first time that it's playable and functioning network-wide, to come the same day that you are reminded that because of the reliance on PlayStation Network, you might not be able to play this game when you want to, maybe even the moment you buy it, is pretty bad enough. But the situation with Tokon on PC is just unacceptable. And if it weren't for the fact that I'm not going to give my money to this game, I would probably do a review at launch. And that review would probably say, I think this game is excellent and you shouldn't buy it. Something I've done before with a lot of games. Because paying for a game that then forces me into the PSN restrictions, the subservices, the Epic Game services, all of that just so that it runs poorly, that it basically breaks online to the point where some of the network, I think, still needs some help, but especially if you're playing with other people on PC who are struggling with the game, because anybody can struggle because it runs poorly on a lot of configurations because of how it's CPU bound. It is an unplayable disaster for $70. So all of the goodwill, the design of the fighting systems,
I'm
the
not paying for this
characters, and the
game.
depth they have,
As
how
much
much
as I would
fun
try
it
it
is to
out, I'm
press
not gonna do
buttons
it,
in a
so.
fighting game and have cool things happen, are immediately mitigated by the obsession that PlayStation has of absolute complete control. And I'm here to remind some of you guys that PlayStation has, from what we know, toyed with the idea of having their own PC launcher. This was before they gave up on PC and said that they weren't going to be releasing their single player games on PC anymore, which I mean, let's be honest, they can still back.
I'm not downloading a fucking Sony launcher, to be honest. Just have your games on Steam, bro. Just stop. Just put it on Steam. Okay? I know for a fact that's not going to change anything. There are probably people who are going to use it anyways. I'll probably eventually use it too as well, but I'm just kind of like, brother, I don't need another launcher. I really don't.
Back out of that, but doesn't look like it. Much like
I really
the whole
fucking don't
physical
need another
discs thing,
launcher.
But it is their obsession with complete control so that they have end-to-end everything, that they can keep as much money as possible, cut out as many middlemen, that keeps leading to these situations where this game can't be played in so many different places, and the people who can play it need to suffer through a bad experience in order to get to the core of it, which is a very good game. And it kills the game for me, and it should for a lot of people. Right? What I don't understand about PlayStation's continued obsession with thinking that they have more power and more control over the customer than anybody else is that normally when companies want to start a monopoly, what they do is have the best product, bring everybody in, and because they offer the best, you don't want to go anywhere else, and then they slowly creep into the monopoly, and then they ruin it all. Then they make it all hideous and terrible for everybody that's even considered a customer. But PlayStation is trying to build a monopoly when they have no reason for people to actually go to them. Why would I want to play Tokon on PC? Why would I trust you to play it on PlayStation? If you keep offering subpar services and forcing me down your terrible pipeline, your pipeline of saw blades and pinpricks in order to access the games you make, and it's not like they're the greatest things ever made, guess what? I just won't play them. It's not like we're starving for games, brother. So how can you financially execute so poorly? How can you operationally execute so poorly? How can you try and commit to this monopoly all digital scheme of maximizing your profits and not caring about your customer without at least trying to bring people in a way that is justified, right? Like, it'd be bad anyways, but at least if they had the greatest games, the greatest services, everything worked smooth and perfect, you know, you don't have to worry about anything. Where buying a PlayStation game or a game on PlayStation is synonymous with the best experience that you could ever have. I could at least understand why some people would end up there, but the truth is that you have to deal with giving them all your info just so that they can have data breaches, that you need to deal with them constantly raising prices. You have to deal with PS Plus being a thing that you need to pay for in order to play online, and you need to deal with the fact that they have already proven to you many times that what you own, you don't own. You only own a digital license, and we'll take it away from you whenever we want, just so we can re-release a remaster and take your $70 all over again. And it makes my blood
the Last of Us
down to
remastered
the core
edition.
of I wish I could just play Tokon in peace and make a video being like, yo, this thing is good. Isn't that cool? Good video games. Let's move on, bro. Like, it's not that deep. But no, I have to deal with all of this in the middle of a week where all we've heard is how PlayStation has gagged their employees to not talk about the physical disc situation, where all we've heard is how they keep—
That is a pretty crazy thing about that. I've never heard about that, but that is pretty crazy though, you know. Well, that was in the last video, but you know, that's what I'm saying. It's still the most craziest news to hear that, to fucking literally fucking held your studios hostage or so, not for them to say anything about the whole physical thing.
fudging numbers and how they are running distraction tactics in order for people to not talk about the way that they want to strip customer rights. The fact that they announced the February 16th release date of 2027, not 2007, just to be clear, for God of War Laufey, to try and get people hyped up for that. But guess what? That's also been met with PR resistance, with people complaining under the announcement, as we should, because this is the sort of stuff that ends up causing so much damage to the hobby that we love and to our rights as customers down the line. And look, I'm not here doing this to wage a performative war or to get internet points for saying whatever the majority of people think, right? I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna be hard to hear. I'd be okay with an all digital future as long as that came with digital rights. I'm a PC gamer, but there is a fundamental difference in how I own my games on PC across different platforms, across DRM-free alternatives, across people who just straight up give you executables that you'll be able to preserve and launch however you want. There is a huge difference between the all digital free market of PC and the future of a PlayStation controlled all digital PlayStation console store future console environment. I am fighting for physical media preservation, not because I think that that's the end all be all.
It makes sense. You put a gag order on us about your upcoming hentai game. Yo mama's a hentai game. I put a gag order on that pussy.
Have stated that the moment that physical goes out the window, and more importantly that when PlayStation has end-to-end control over where I buy my games and what I can do with them, I will not hands-on cover anything regarding PlayStation. I will not buy a PlayStation 6, not because I want internet points, but because I believe that we all need to take a stand, not for the discs, but for our rights as customers. And the fact that we are seeing how these things not just hypothetically harm us as customers, but how their obsession with the world they want to create is already harming video games like Tokon just puts that even more into perspective, which is why I'm asking you to please not give up on this. GTA 6 is there for PlayStation to say that digital is the future because look how many people are happy with GTA. That's how they're going to skew it. And the end of physical is slated for 2028 so that we have enough time to process this and have our anger quelled and we accept it when it happens. That is a very calculated tactic, hoping that by then we're just thinking about the fact that we don't really use discs that much, instead of thinking that the wider implications of this are about ownership and rights as customers. Do not stop at any point with this, right? I, on the channel, I'm going to try and find a balance because I don't just want to talk about this forever. I want to talk about game design. I want to talk about good news. The fall release calendar is crazy and there's going to be a ton of reviews and interesting things to cover, but customer advocacy is always going to be a very big part of this channel. And I don't want every week to be a new PlayStation video, but I will not stop fighting this fight. And I believe that you shouldn't either. Don't forget what's at stake, even if that is, I guess we can't play Tokon. I mean, literally, it runs terribly. In any case, I've been Mug. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, hit the like button, and maybe I've earned it by now. Your subscription is always valued. This video is a bit more off script and just talking about a lot of this stuff more in general as well, so check out some other videos on the channel that'll probably give you a better idea of what normally goes down here. But truly, thank you so much for watching. An extra special thanks to the members of the wall, be they patrons over at Patreon or members directly here on YouTube.
It's still kind of crazy to hear though that Sony Network just went down overall, and it's kind of wild though. Good news are the indie games like Denja Tag. Yeah, like Denja Tag. Denja Tag has been a fantastic indie game that I enjoyed playing, to be honest. That's definitely one of my favorite games of 2026, to be honest. Gameplay is great, fucking the music is great, the character designs are great, the art style is great. There was a lot of, granted, not really much story, right? But it was just mostly the gameplay in general. Fucking fantastic, great. If you haven't tried it out or so, you know, you should. I know that I'll be uploading the gameplay for it because I was waiting for my thumbnail artist to finish, and unfortunately, you know, I forgot that I ordered, you know, a thumbnail for my Denja Attack playthrough, and I was just kind of like, oh yeah, I completely forgot about that actually. Fucking hey, dude. So I had to pay for the artist for it anyway. So, oh well, it is what it is. Anyways, that's the end of the video, and honestly, pretty fucking crazy. Maybe I shouldn't have not paid for my internet bill super early, in my personal opinion. That extra money would have came in clutch, but oh well, it is what it is. And peace.